through another eventful week in China, with J.D. Vance also traveling to expose the fraud in the USA, and senators taking down Soros-funded entities who hate our country. Comms from Dan Scavino pointing to hammer time. Watching Pratt continue to make waves in Los Angeles, and so much more. What an exhaustive decade it has been. It feels like we are just getting started, and momentum is working in our direction. Speaking of momentum, we've got Rumble at 511,000 followers. That's our go-to for free speech, and we appreciate you guys hitting that like button also. Hitting that like button gets us to number 2 on the leaderboard next to Dan Bongino. Now 2 in a row, our videos have been number 2, thanks to you guys sharing these videos, hitting that like button, and so much more. We've got some great merchandise for you at andweknow.com. The 250-year anniversary stuff is there for you. Absolutely brilliant. Going to show you some pictures of Patriots wearing their gear later on.
What does he want from the U.S.?
A lot of things. We talked about a lot of things. Too many things to discuss, but a lot of things. We had a very good meeting, but we want things from them. One thing he agreed to today is going to order 200 jets. That's a big thing. Boeing. 200 big ones. That's a lot of jobs. It's a lot. Boeing wanted 150. He got 200. He said, I think it was a commitment. I mean, sort of like a statement, but I think it was a commitment.
Very good. And there was a lot of comments that came forward from this the meeting with all of the business leaders and more. I wanted to show you this clip real quick on some of that.
What the president said as he left. And then China, they made a statement that we have new common understandings. So we'll see. We've gotten several of the statements from the CEOs that were there. Dina Powell-McCormick from Meta. We've heard from other companies saying that, the talks were good, they were productive, but we're waiting to see what those deals are going to be. In particular, though, President Trump sat down with Sean Hannity about the deals and the business leaders and why they were there as they attended that state dinner yesterday in Beijing, and what the whole point of that business community in China meant. Here it is.
Those business people are here to make deals and to bring back jobs. They're bringing back massive numbers. China's going to invest hundreds of billions of dollars with those people that were in that room today. That's why they came. It was really an honor. We had just about every major business leader in there.
Now, I wanted to show you real quick. I looked up this photo from years ago where Obama was sitting around a table with the major Silicon Valley leaders of the day. We had the Twitter, the Yahoo, Facebook, Obama, Zuckerbucks is there, Apple. Steve Wesley, I believe, was Google. Schmidt was Google, I'm sorry. And some others from Cisco and more. Just throwing this at you because it just made me think, and this is just my mind going through all of this, of bringing all these leaders of business back over to China to make deals. And you're wondering, well, wait a minute, didn't they make all these deals back when Obama was around, when they were doing all they could to what? They had their 16-year plan to take down America, 8 years with Obama, 8 years with Hillary. Well, could the puppet strings have been cut? All the deals that they made with the devil back then have been reneged and cut off. And they're like, hey, I just want to let you guys know we're going back in there. And you're going to work with China, and you're going to make deals now with the good guys, because those that were overtaken and run by puppet masters like the Rothschilds and the central banking and all that, and the cabal, the deep state, hopefully, and have been removed, and so President Trump has to take them over there to redo new deals with maybe possibly on the positive side good things and bring jobs back to our country, because we know Obama wasn't treated very well, as Hannity pointed out. Wow, side by side video, Obama had to get they didn't even bring the ladder out to the guy. He had to get off their own little drop down ladder from Air Force One at the time, and he walks down, and folks shake his hand, and then he walks off, gets in a vehicle. President Trump gets a full entourage, gets all the dancers, the kids, red carpet, and so much more. Stark difference between him and Obama. And so I don't know, what do you guys think? Let me know below this video how you feel about all of this. And very interesting. I just how my mind works, and just my opinion. Could that have happened where these folks, under duress, maybe some of them under duress, right? We always say, oh, they're so bad, they're evil, whatever. I get it, but what if they were under duress, some of them, and they were told, if you don't do this, make a deal with the devil, then your families are going to be hurt, and many things, bad things are going to happen to you, and then all the puppet strings are cut, and then he brings some of these other folks, like some, new business leaders now. These aren't the same folks. I'm just saying, bringing some big names over to China to renew some things and fix what's broken. Because I don't know about you guys, but I remember watching videos of people that worked for Apple, and they were having to put nets out of buildings because the folks working at Apple in China were so downtrodden and beaten up and barely making any money. They were trying to, take their own lives. I don't know. Interesting.
Out of this summit. America, I'm sure, watched the reception, and I'll do a side-by-side of the reception of then President Obama.
He doesn't respect Obama. Nobody does. Highly overrated, and he's a divider. Biden will go down as the worst president in history because I think what he did on the border.
And how do you explain your relationship with President Xi? Because it seems as cordial as it can be. He doesn't seem like the warmest guy in the world on the outside.
He is. He's warm. I mean, look, he's smart. He's a very smart person, but we have a good relationship. No, he has to respect somebody. He's no games. He's not like, let's talk about how did the Yankees do last night? Okay, who cares? They don't care. He's all about China. It's,
but their
it's a consummate thing.
Very interesting comments. The guy does not give a flip about Obama, and terrible guy, and of course Biden. And then the speech was given. Here's a portion of that from Xi Jinping saying it out loud.
So the 250th anniversary of American independence. The over 300 million American people are reinvigorating the spirit of patriotism, innovation, and enterprise, and ushering in a new journey for the development of the United States. The people of China and the United States are both great peoples, achieving the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation and making America great again can go hand in hand. We can help each other succeed and advance the well-being of the whole world.
What I'd really like to see is, out of this, for me personally, is to see China get all their cameras taken down, get rid of that credit score system where, you have to be a good citizen, and if you're marked, your face is put all over the entire country for people to mark you because you've done something wrong. And that whole system needs to get demolished and not bring that over to America. That's what they plan to do to us, the Democrats. So hopefully the deals are being made, and they're realizing that they better do it or else, because there's a lot writing on this. And President Trump, he puts out his notes to ensure we understand this. When President Xi very elegantly referred to the United States as perhaps being a declining nation, he was referring to the tremendous damage we suffered during the 4 years of Sleepy Joe Biden and the Biden administration. And on that score, he was 100% correct. Our country suffered immeasurably with open borders, high taxes, transgender for everybody, men and women's sports, DEI, horrible trade deals, rampant crime, and so much more. So there you go. Horrible trade deals. Let's fix those. Anyway, President Xi was not referring to the incredible rise that the United States has displayed to the world during the 16 spectacular months of the Trump administration, which includes all-time high stock markets and 401ks, military victory and thriving relationship in Venezuela, the military decimation of Iran to be continued, strong military on earth by far, economic powerhouse again, with a record $18 trillion being invested in the United States by others, best U.S. job market in history, with more people working in the United States right now than ever before, ending country-destroying DEI, and so many other things that it would be impossible to readily list. In fact, President Xi congratulated me on so many tremendous successes in such a short period of time. 2 years ago, we were in fact a nation in decline on that. I fully agree with President Xi, but now the United States is the hottest nation anywhere in the world. And hopefully our relationship with China will be stronger and better than ever before. And so, reminder from the Q board, we've been told many times in different forms and fashion, from November 22nd, 2017, Drop 190 says USA versus necessary to cut strings from foreign bad actors, necessary to form worldwide alliances to defeat. They are puppets. They are weak. They are scared. 80% dark ops necessary, 20% public for justice. The stage must be set. Have faith. How about that? And so I've had a couple of others I wanted to show you. The one that, of course, is all over social media is the reminders, Drop 140, telling us, what if China, Russia, and others are coordinating with the president to eliminate the New World Order, or now called the Nazi World Order? We had another one here. Glimpse, you cannot possibly imagine the size of this. Trust the plan. Trust there are more good than bad. The world is helping. We are not alone. We're all connected in this fight. Patriots unite. We're winning big. Watch the speech. God bless. I got some more in China to share with you in a moment. And then, of course, the takedown of Maine with VP Vance all over it. It is phenomenal work. Stick with us. We'll be back in a moment. Folks, many of us want our furry best friends to thrive. At ltpetclub247.com are all natural, USA-made supplements and treats packed with immune-boosting Coriolis versicolor mushrooms. Shed antler power, transform your pet's health. And guess what? They're so pure, they're great for humans too.
Have been suffering from ulcerative colitis my whole life. I started dosing it very, very hard, like 4 60-milligram tablets 4 times a day. To make a long story short, within about 3 weeks, I stopped bleeding.
From biscuits supporting bones, joints, and organs to mushroom blends for wellness, we've got pets and people covered. Plus, we donate profits to animal rescues like the Beagle Freedom Project. Shop affordable, natural solutions. Head to ltpetclub247.com now for vitality for you and your pet. LT Pet Club 247, health for all, 24/7. Get yours in the description box below today.
What exactly did President Trump ask President Xi for when it comes to Iran?
He didn't ask him for anything. I mean, we're not asking for China's help. We don't need their help.
But he raises the issue.
We raise the issue to make clear what our position is and to make it clear so they understand, because I mean, it's logical we would talk about it given how dominant that issue is. Our position is very clear. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And that's what they were on the verge of building a conventional capability where they had so many rockets, so many drones, that you couldn't do anything against them. They would hide behind that conventional shield to do whatever they wanted with their nuclear program in the future. That's why the president chose to act. In response to that, Iran has decided that they're going to take an international waterway and turn it into theirs and charge tolls for it. We're not going to allow that to happen, and that's why there's a blockade. It's a direct result of what they've done.
Very interesting. You know, Observing Consciousness said, look at what happened when Trump landed in China and stopped viewing the world through isolated headlines. China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and the U.S. all began moving around the same pressure points at the same time. Energy, shipping lanes, AI, manufacturing, sanctions, currency settlement, and regional security. That is not random motion. That is systems convergence. Trump walking into China while pressure builds around Iran and the Strait of Hormuz is not diplomacy. It is the visible layer of a deeper restructuring of the global operating system. Xi publicly calls for strategic stability. While warning over Taiwan, Trump ties Iran, oil flow, trade, and security into the same conversation. Gulf states begin acting more independently. BRICS nations align with alternative settlement systems. Europe weakens under debt and energy pressure. Everyone is seeing it. The old pyramid depended on controlled scarcity, endless war management, centralized finance, and dependency chains hidden behind institutions people never question. Now those rails are being exposed one by one. Energy rails, trade rails, currency rails, AI rails, shipping rails, information rails, tech rails. The reason this moment matters is because the visible enemies may no longer be operating inside the old script people were taught to believe in. The real divide is emerging between centralized global control systems and sovereign civilizational blocks attempting to rebuild parallel infrastructure outside the old architecture. Trump and China is not just a meeting. It is a signal that the world is moving from hidden leverage toward open negotiation over who writes the next system. And that is for world sovereignty. So, again, watching all this play out day after day has been phenomenal. Of course, President Trump is now taken off and probably nearly back in the United States as this recording is actually going out to all of you. Now, I want to get into some big things that happened with CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper talking about Iran.
How long have you been familiar with Iran and its leadership and its attacks against the United States?
I've studied it or been a part of it for the better part of 3 decades, particularly acutely in the last 5 years.
And leading up to February 28th, months prior to that, what was jarring to you that you saw different than what had been for those many decades that you've been involved?
I think it's important to note just in the 30 months before Epic Fury commenced, Iran and its proxies had been attacking U.S. service members and diplomats about 350 times.
Can you repeat
about
that?
About every third day. Iran and its proxies attacked American service members 350 times in the Middle East.
I don't think that Americans were aware of that in the 30 months that they had attacked Americans or their service members 350 times. Does that surprise you that I would say that? That I don't believe the everyday American going to work knew that?
It's disappointing, but between the actions of proxies in Iraq and Syria, as well as the Houthis, that's simply the fact of what happened.
Do you guys realize that 350 times in 30 months before Operation Epic Fury? That's about every third day. You know, the president, of course, with his meetings in more in China and talking about Iran and even more, President Trump said this, that they had a good meeting with President Xi, of course. They discussed ways to enhance economic cooperation between the two countries. And if you go down this note, he said the two sides agreed that the Strait of Hormuz must remain open to support the free flow of energy. President Xi also made clear China's opposition to the militarization of the strait and any effort to charge a toll for its use. And he expressed interest in purchasing more American oil to reduce China's dependence on the strait in the future. Amazing, because that oil then could come over. We end up going and removing this dark element that's been what? It's been taking out and shooting at troops and diplomats 350 times in 30 months. Put a stop to them. Stop them trying to control all of us, right? We learned that that's all part of London and their control of this entire earth. And then you look at President Trump heading over to China to say, look, it's enough. These control elements are gone, and we're going to start something new, and we're all going to agree that, guess what? You guys can come over to America and you can get our oil. Can you imagine, folks, what's going to be happening as more and more of these ships come into the Gulf of America and start taking our oil, and we start shipping all of that out, and that money comes back to us? More jobs, more everything for the United States in more ways than we can imagine. While this is happening, we're also trying to get rid of the fraud. Okay? And so Vice President Vance went to Bangor, Maine, and boy, was he doing great things there.
But it's unbelievable how much you have been fleeced by your own government over the past 15, 20, 30 years. Nobody was looking at this. Nobody was asking difficult questions like, for example, are dead people getting food stamps? Okay? Call me old-fashioned, but I don't think that dead people eat, so certainly they don't need food stamps. Unfortunately, they vote for Democrats, they don't vote for us, my friends.
How about that? exposes to the crowd their government's fleecing taxpayers for so many years. He continues.
Let me talk a little bit about just one person, because I think it highlights how bad the fraud problem has been in the state of Maine. We had an illegal immigrant in this community who said that she was providing services, interpretive services, to other immigrants. Okay, so Medicaid reimburses people to provide interpretation services for people who don't speak English. Which, by the way, people should be speaking English in the United States of America. I think that's common sense. But this woman, her name was Rakia Muhammad. And it turns out that Rakia Muhammad was not a particularly upstanding citizen, okay? So while she said that she was providing interpretation services, do you know what she was actually doing? Providing zero services and collecting the $15 million over a 5-year period that was going directly into her pocket. And that happened pretty much during the entirety of the Biden administration, and no one in the Biden administration thought to step in and stop this ridiculous fraud. Now, I have two questions when it comes to Rakia Muhammad stealing $15 million from every single person in this room. Question number one is, why was this person in the United States of America to begin with? Call me crazy, but I think that when we welcome new immigrants to the United States of America, they should be people who enrich our country and bring some good skills into our country, not a person who's going to steal $15 million from the people in this room. But second of all, why on earth are we allowing a person to steal $15 million from all of you without the state government lifting a finger to stop it? Why did it take Washington coming in from the outside to ensure that this person who is defrauding you is going to go to prison? And ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly what she's going to happen. Convicted, guilty, and she's going to jail, which is where she belongs.
Convicted, going to jail. It's where they belong. You know, J.D. Vance says he likes the idea of sending Medicaid fraudsters to Gitmo. And interesting because Ripcord reminded us that Q drop from 2019, 3358, with folks standing in front of the sign at U.S. Naval Station Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. We have plenty of space in Gitmo. Plenty of space. And hopefully that place is already filled up. And someday maybe we'll watch these tapes and we'll see what happened to these folks as the traders have been taken there. You know, we've watched the planes. We've talked about it for years. And there's no telling what type of, remember, black ops is going on and information is not being shared with the public to keep this moving forward for us as we have these wake-up calls day after day. And, of course, the media has been a big part of the cover-up of all this because a lot of them are paid CIA agents. Hopefully many of them are going to face the penalty of treason for what they've done. There's a guy named Phil Hirschhorn, I guess, out of Maine, journalist in News Center, Maine, yep. And boy, did they boo this guy when he started asking questions from J.D. Vance. It is pretty phenomenal how this played out.
We'll do one more question, then we'll hit the road.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, for taking questions. I'm Phil Hirschhorn from News Center, Maine. So it turns out that Maine does have a Medicare fraud control unit. You mentioned that a few minutes ago. I'm wondering, you said Maine could be the third worst state after states like California and Minnesota, which have proven tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars in fraud and many federal convictions. So far, what we've heard about from the federal government in Maine is questionable $45 million in the autism services, which you mentioned. We've also heard about $1.7 million in questionable billing by a Somali immigrant-run NGO. My question is,
guys, what else? It's all right. Now, I appreciate you all standing up for me, but trust me,
Hey, we
I've
still
had a
have
lot
innocent
worse.
until proven guilty in this country. My question is, what else do you got? What else has your task force flagged that we should be concerned about? Because those amounts are a lot, 46 million, 1.7 million, but they don't really compare to California and Minnesota. What else should we expect from your task force? Thank you.
Let me say a few.
All right. So there's the question. The people are booing him. And we'll be right back with the answer from J.D. Vance. And boy, do we have some more out of Los Angeles. Oh, stick around. Are you tired of tap water loaded with toxins? You're starting a New Year's health journey. Toxin-free water can help with weight loss and overall health as well. We interviewed Nelson last month. See the full interview in the link below to learn more.
Let me say a few things. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've got biased reporters in all states. It's okay, trust me. I can handle it. But here's what I'd say. A few things. Number one, you talk about the scale of the fraud being less in Maine than it is in California. Well, California has a population that's much higher than Maine, so that's not necessarily a fair comparison. Number two, we've frankly been at this less long than we have in Maine than in other states. Okay, this is something where I would say, you notice a pattern. And you're right, innocent until proven guilty. But what I've noticed is a pattern that when you see certain types of fraud and certain types of programs, that's the tip of the iceberg. And when I see that autism services fraud in the Medicaid program in the Somali community, but not just that, I see local and state politicians who don't care about policing that fraud. That's the tip of the iceberg. And we're going to find out just how deep that iceberg is. And I suspect, I can't promise, but I suspect we are going to find hundreds of millions of more dollars every single month that we look in the state of Maine, because this is not a state that takes it seriously.
Oh, yeah. Great answer. Now let's head over to Rich Kutmikuff, I believe that's how you say his name, from News Nation, and he asked a question. Check this out.
So, Vice President Vance, Rich McHugh from News Nation. We have been reporting here in Maine since last year on fraud. We've been reporting in Minnesota on fraud. We're seeing prosecutions happen in Minnesota and in California, but some of the things that we're hearing from people and whistleblowers is you have to go to the org structure, the leadership, and that's not happening. How will this administration go after not just the people who are perpetrating it, but the people who are enabling it and overseeing it in the first place?
It's a good question. So, one of the reasons why I raised this question of certain amounts of fraud being so low level that people weren't even looking at it is it's impossible to get to the high level fraudsters unless you're sometimes willing to look at the low level fraudsters too. I mean, how many of us have watched a good mob movie? And how do those prosecutions always start? You never start with the boss. You start with the low-level guys who then give you some sense of the criminal enterprise, and then you can go after the high-level fraud and the high-level crime. The fact that we were turning a blind eye to fraud under $1 million meant that we weren't even looking at the people who were sitting on top of some of these fraud rings. And we do see already signs in Minnesota, for example, of some very sophisticated stuff. I mean, sometimes I see these fraud rings and I think to myself, sir, if you just started like a real business, you might actually be a halfway productive citizen, but instead you put those talents into fraud, and so we're going to put all our talents to throw you in prison if that's how you're going to approach that. And that's the most important thing, is you've got to be willing to go everywhere and look at all fraud, or you're never going to be able to look at the high-level guys. Because very often what will happen is you've got 10 people who are skimming $1 million off the top, and then they kick up a few $100,000 to somebody above them, and then it turns out that when you look at the whole network, you've got a lot of people who are making millions and millions and millions of dollars for every low-level guy that's making $500,000 or something like that. So our approach has been to go everywhere, to look at everything, and that's how we're going to get the fraudsters. And trust me, we are going to get them. We already have gotten a lot of them, and we're going to keep our pedal to the gas for the next 2.5 years.
So check this out. As he brings that up, Gavin Newsom's former chief of staff pleads guilty to money laundering and tax fraud. Dana Williamson, see, connected to Gavin Newsom, Newsom's chief of staff in 2022 and 24 appeared in court in Sacramento to plead guilty to counts of conspiracy to commit bank and wire fraud, subscribing to a false tax return, and making false statements. She's accused of being the ringleader for a plan to siphon $225,000 from a dormant campaign amount belonging to Javier Becerra, who is a leading candidate for governor, to pay for her own personal expenses. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of California, Williamson was charged with 23-count federal indictment alleging conspiracy to commit bank and wire fraud, defrauding the United States, obstructing justice, filing false tax returns, and lying to authorities. Williamson also allegedly falsely claimed personal expenses as business deductions, including thousands on Chanel and Fendi bags, on HVAC unit for her home, and even a $150,000 trip to Mexico for her birthday.
Do you have any comment, Ms. Williamson? Excuse us. No, you guys can't talk about your Do you have anything to say at all? Ms. Williamson, do you
And the media is asking her questions. For those listening, a lot of media there. Somebody say, "Let's go, Trump." Yep, and there she is. You see her on the screen, sitting next to Newsom himself. So just like you heard, start off low, right? J.D. Vance, gonna work your way up. We'll find the fraud. Well, all this is playing out, old Newsom's starting to lose his mind. Starting to get a little angry. And he got his little talking points from Satan himself, and he's out there talking to the media. They're losing their redistricting across the country, and they're slowly falling apart.
Activities in the country since
this is Jim Crow 2.0. It's sick. Stone cold racism in a scale I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. Never have seen in my lifetime. It's all happening, bringing us back to a pre-1960s world. It's jaw-dropping what's happening. It was jaw-dropping what Governor Landry did. He suspended a primary election where tens of thousands of people had already voted. Why? To redistrict 2 districts to eliminate black representation. I can't believe that we're experiencing this.
I can't believe it.
My parents talked to me about this. I said, well, thank God it's not going to happen on my lifetime.
My parents talked to me.
It's happening in real time. Anti-woke is anti-black. All these attacks on DEI, it's anti-black. Level of racism is sick. Rewriting history, censoring historical fact. Number of African Americans have been eliminated from key positions and posts. The Pentagon and elsewhere, it's sick. It's happening in the United States of America in the open. And it needs to be called out.
Yep, you are being called out for your racism, for what you guys have done, for your cheating, for your gerrymandering, your evil. Go ahead and try there, buddy. Keep holding on to your satanic clips. It's not going to work. You want to see real racism? Look at Senator Gillibrand, how she treats Honorable Scott Turner. Imagine if the tides were turned. Well, I'm going to play this clip. Imagine if a Republican was yelling at a Democrat like this.
Funding. So we have record funding, but yet we have an increase in
right. So what is your record?
Yes,
You've
ma'am.
had this job for well over a year. I just want to know, did you get the number down? Do we have 700,000 homeless still? Or is it 1 million or 1.5 million? So I get you want to do things differently.
Indeed.
And this committee will support you as long as the goals are good.
Okay,
but
good.
where's the results? The report is delayed over a year. Over a year.
Can I
So we have
offer this to you?
Yes, but we
Can I
have
offer this
I
to
just
you?
don't want to hear about what you don't like about the Biden administration.
good.
You're in charge.
Yeah.
You have a vision. Let's see it. Let's see
Good.
the results.
And you know what I do? I thank God that I'm in charge so we can do stuff different.
Oh, I thank God. Imagine this. I don't know. I'd call him demon possessed. I know some of you don't like it. Not everybody's demon possessed. I get it. I tell you what, she sure does act like it. And he starts with, I thank God.
Charge so we can do stuff different. Because the plays that were ran before I got here, they failed.
That's right.
I've been here. Let me speak, if you will. I got here. You said I have been here a little bit over a year. But you all had, during the Biden administration, 4 years.
Stop
And it was
talking about
record
Biden.
funding.
Talk about
It's
your
record
record.
You guys get it? Do you understand? Imagine if the tide, was all flipped. Imagine if this was I don't know, this is how I look at it. If she's a white Republican, and she's going after a black leader in this way. They would have a heyday on this, but they're allowed to do whatever they want, scream at people all they want, not allow them to answer questions. He's trying the best he can through grace, by faith, to let her have the answer he's trying to give her, and you'll love this answer.
This is so inaccurate, unhelpful, and doesn't let this committee do our job.
Chair, if I may, the point in time report would be out by now if we did not have an unprecedented government shutdown.
Yep, government shutdown. Remember that? Shutting that government down for a long time.
It would be out by now. If we weren't in constant litigation, it would be out by now.
Yep, all that litigation you keep putting us in.
Now, HUD has a great form. We have a great team, and we move very expeditiously.
In what way does litigation...
We could not work
okay,
during
Mr.
the
Secretary,
shutdown.
I think you're obfuscating.
I'm not.
It doesn't matter what he says. As good as it sounds, these Democrats can't handle it. You know, digital mobile billboards are out spotted. You know, they're spotted all over Los Angeles. Driving around depicting Mayor Karen Bass shopping and sightseeing in Africa while Los Angeles burns. The mobile Jumbotron also depicted mayoral candidate Spencer Pratt taking out the basura trash. Pratt has gained about 12 points in the polls since March, according to Fox News. And check this out. Billionaire Lakers executive Jeannie Buss donates maximum amount to Spencer Pratt's campaign for LA mayor. That is what you call a huge, huge win. Huge win. And they had another AI video put together for an ad. And hopefully you guys are looking at your screen to see this. Hollywood's burning. For those listening, there's needles all over the playground. There's accidents happening all over the city. There's a man that was involved in the accident. His wife is crying for him. They don't come out of it. He comes out of it.
Daddy!
His kids are excited to see him.
You were in a coma. 3 years.
3-year coma. He comes back in March of 2028, and he's walking around LA, and he's like, what?
MacArthur Park, right? Where are all the needles and homeless people?
The mayor fixed it.
Wait, isn't this downtown? Where are all the tents?
The mayor fixed it.
They rebuilt the Palisades? How?
The mayor fixed it.
Wow. Karen Bass really turned the city around.
Karen Bass isn't the mayor anymore, honey.
Who's the mayor?
Spencer Pratt.
A better LA is possible. And he's like, wow, this is so cool. Beautiful Los Angeles. Oh, man. Oh, these ads get better and better every time you see them. Here's another one. There's Karen Bass. There's Nancy laughing with her money. There's free needles with book signing from Kamala. There's old... there's the Spencer standing in front of his burnt down property. Fire all over the place. Malibu, city limits. All burnt down. Hollywood burnt down. And all of the homeless and the burning cars. Save LA. You know, saw this from a young man talking about Spencer Pratt and all that he's doing and how he will be targeted and how we must pray for him. I think this is very, very good, and it's important.
Spencer Pratt is going to get the Donald Trump treatment, and we can already see it happening. But y'all might want to start praying for him, because it's only a matter of time before that man's life is on the line. I told y'all on my last page that California is a Democratic stronghold. Therefore, it is a demonic stronghold. And the two places that I mentioned were some of the biggest strongholds was San Francisco and Los Angeles. I also told y'all in one of my videos that God always opens a gate, allows the Democrats to go out and do some crazy stuff, and then he closes that gate and starts to hit them with judgments. Spencer Pratt is one of those judgments. You see, God opened the gate and he allowed the Democrats to go out there and burn down the Palisades. But what they were not expecting was to wake up one of the citizens and have that citizen come for their position. With that said, we get to see the Donald Trump treatment from scratch. And because people are awake this time, I think it's going to have a bigger effect than when Donald Trump experienced it in 2016 and on. Spencer Pratt has a lot of Democrats attached to him. He has a lot of eyes on him because originally he wasn't involved with politics. People see him as just a regular citizen who's waking up and saying, I'm fighting against the people who came against me. Everybody saw his story happen live, so they understand why he is standing where he's standing. But what this will allow for people to see is exactly how the Democratic Party and the media works against people who fight for common sense. Spencer Pratt is going to help people understand Trump more because they're going to see his name be torn down in the media. They're already calling him a mini Trump. They're already calling him a fascist. They're already trying to build the fear around Spencer Pratt. And as he continues to win these debates, you're starting to see more content creators come against him as well. The same way that they came against Trump and MAGA. They're starting to attack the people who support Spencer Pratt.
Yep.
How dare you support Spencer Pratt? Are you stupid? Are you dumb? Do you know all the crazy things that he's done? Do you know what his past is like? Do you know that he was a reality star? How stupid are you? This is the kind of stuff we're already starting to see online. And I like it only because it's going to open the eyes of many people who truly support Spencer Pratt because of what they've seen happen to him. There's a bond there. There's a fight that they understand. And when you Democrats decide to come out and attack people for a fight that they actually understand, you're going to create more enemies than you think.
That's right. You know, it's amazing that we are being reminded of prayer for those that are on the front lines. So that we do it here. We'll continue that at the end of our videos. You know, I'm going to show you amazing comms about the hammer time from Dan Scavino in a moment. But first, I just want to remind you, we've got amazing merchandise at shop.mweknow.com. And also the Celebrate 250 Year merch, our women's 3/4 sleeve V-necks are finally here, and so much more. Here's great. So this was posted by Dan Scavino Jr., Queen in concert, and this particular song. Wait till you hear the comms for this one, folks. Well, we're going to show you that now. With this, we've got Ultra Mega Dean reminding us. It was posted at 11:52 or 23:52 on military time. Justice K, highest court in the land, law and order, majority, U.S. Constitution safeguarded. It was our last chance to save it. Think Hillary Rodham Clinton win, Supreme Court appointments, Supreme Court corrupt until... remember, they were going to give Loretta Lynch some of that. But anyway, now comes the real pain. Now comes the real truth. And 4 booms. Now, let's look at the lyrics. Okay? Just the beginning. I'm not going to read the entire thing. Here we stand or here we fall. History won't care at all. Make the bed, light the light. Lady Mercy won't be home tonight. You don't waste no time at all. Don't hear the bell, but you answer the call. It comes to you as to us all. We're just waiting for the hammer to fall. The hammer. Highest court in land. Law and order. The hammer. Boom, 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 boom. They want you divided by race, religion, culture, class, political affiliation. Divided you are weak. Research for yourself. Think for yourself. We the people. Save the republic. Where we go one, we go all. LASQ said, Dan, post the hammer to fall. December 7th, 2024, decoding comments. That's what they put if you go check out Leanne Eskew. 74 weeks and 4 days apart from December 7th to May 13th, 2026 with this drop. This is the second time this week a Dan post has pointed to Q744. I wonder why BHO, Barack Hussein Obama, is depicted sitting in a bush photo. Remember I showed you guys that? This is a formal group photograph from a U.S.-China diplomat event during Bill Clinton's presidency. You see that on your screen. Hammer to fall. It comes to you as to us all. Yeah, we're just waiting for the hammer to fall. Yeah. Q13173. All of us have been antsy for the hammer to drop, but we will remember this time, the time before we knew the next big scene. This is historic. Q2598. Santa with a hammer. Remember that picture? This Christmas, we want justice. DC Lidstone said, worth remembering. Think chess. Do you attack the king in the beginning or middle to end? That's a May 14th Delta, folks. May 14th Delta. Queen protects the king? Question mark. And that's the music group Queen. May 14th Delta. Boom. You see how all these comms are connected to keep us moving along? Speaking of pain coming in different areas, look at New York. $47 billion just walked out of New York. 892 companies, $47 billion in income. IRS migration data confirms the exodus is real. Florida gained 341 of the companies. Texas took 187 of them. North Carolina added 129. All this corruption happening in so many different ways. Fairfax County, Virginia, one of America's worst sanctuary hellholes, was dragged before Congress. The sheriff and DA testifying before the House Judiciary Committee after ICE labeled them among the most uncooperative jurisdictions in the country. This year alone, multiple murders in Fairfax were committed by illegal aliens, including Abdul, who had over 24 prior arrests, had charges dropped by the DA, and then stabbed his mentor to death. The victim's mother's testifying about how sanctuary policies got her son killed. Sanctuary counties don't protect people. They protect criminal invaders. This is blood on their hands. No more sanctuary policies. Deport them all. Now, Jason Miyares calls out the sanctuary policies of Fairfax County and the victims who have been harmed and killed as a result of them, while Fairfax DA Steve Descano, who belongs to George Soros, sits next to him visibly uncomfortable and shaking his head.
Aggravated assault of a police officer. Fairfax refused to hold him. He killed a man the very next day. A single phone call from Fairfax to ICE would have saved this man's life. In November 2024, a woman was raped on a hiking trail in Herndon, Virginia, just days after her attacker was released from jail following a felony assault charge reduction made without ever consulting the police. The ICE detainer was ignored. She became the next victim. A 4-year-old girl was nearly abducted in the middle of the night by an illegal alien who broke into her bedroom. Charges were reduced progressively over 18 months down to a misdemeanor, then dropped entirely. In July 2024, 2 illegal aliens stabbed a man to death at a park in Oakton. ICE had lodged multiple detainers on one of the suspects that Fairfax County had refused to honor. He was released back into the community. Then he killed. In the last several weeks, girls as young as 13 were groped repeatedly in the hallways of a Fairfax County high school by an illegal alien enrolled as a student at age 19. ICE asked that he be held. Fairfax refused. Same county, same prosecutor, same policy, over and over again. Members, this is not incompetence. This is not coincidence. This is policy. Commonwealth's Attorney Descano publishes it on his own website. His office's formal written policy states that prosecutors shall, whenever possible, make charging and plea decisions that, quote, limit or avoid immigration consequences. That's not prosecutorial discretion. That is discrimination against American citizens in favor of those here illegally who commit additional crime. That is why the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund petitioned the Department of Justice, which early this month has opened a civil rights investigation into Mr. Descano's office, arguing that his policies violate the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment.
Brilliant. Now let's go to Representative Brandon Gill, one of our favorites. calls out the Fairfax County Attorney's Office for protecting Guatemalan illegal alien who is charged with raping a 13-year-old.
I want to better understand how you weigh an illegal alien's immigration status whenever you're making charging decisions. Do you know who Ander Jose Cortez Mendez is? Are you familiar with that case?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is a Guatemalan illegal alien who was arrested in March of 2024. He was initially charged with, quote, carnal knowledge of a 13 to 14-year-old. Just for those of us who aren't lawyers, can you describe just very briefly what does carnal knowledge of a 13 to 14-year-old mean in this context?
Well, sir, generally a charge like that would typically refer to underage sex.
Okay, so he raped an underage person, an illegal alien who raped an underage American. Your office reduced those charges to a misdemeanor charge of consensual sex with a child 15 years and older. You offered him a 90-day suspended jail sentence. Is that correct?
Sir, based on the evidence that we had in the case?
So it is correct.
He wouldn't answer. It was like that the entire time. He just would not answer. And then you got Congressman Ben Cline. Out of 95 counties in Virginia, Fairfax is the only one that has a written policy that gives preferential treatment to illegal immigrants.
All right. Well, Mr. Descano, your policy tells prosecutors to give lighter treatment to defendants based on their immigration status. Isn't that just discrimination with a sympathetic face? And why are you protecting criminal illegal aliens more than the people of Fairfax County, the citizens?
Well, first of all, sir, I think there's two things wrong with it in the question that you asked me. We're not protecting undocumented individuals. As a matter of fact, we prosecute people who commit crimes in Fairfax County regardless of their status. So the idea that we don't do that is simply wrong. Our policies simply maintain that our role is to prosecute Virginia crime. That's what we do. ICE's role is to do federal civil immigration enforcement.
Mr. Miyares, you disagree with that?
Fundamentally, he has a written policy to that effect. He is conflating two different issues. He's simply saying, well, I prosecute all crimes. At the same time, he has a written policy saying that illegal immigrants are going to be treated of sanctuary policies. No, I fundamentally disagree with his assessment. There are 95 counties in Virginia, Congressman. Only one county with one prosecutor has a written policy saying we're going to treat illegal immigrants differently than American citizens. It is Mr. Toscano to my left, period, full stop.
Well, I know that when ICE does work with localities, the system can work. I worked in the Harrisonburg, Rockingham Commonwealth's Attorney's Office. They had a 287G agreement with ICE, and when individuals who were prosecuted, who were here illegally, eventually served their sentences, they were met by ICE. They were retrieved by ICE and returned to their countries of origin. The people of Rockingham and Harrisonburg benefited from that policy because the streets were safer, and people who committed crimes were not returned to the communities that they threatened prior to their arrest.
We got some more. So let's go to Representative Jim Jordan, hammering him.
Mr. Descano, why'd you change your website?
So first of all, let me address what you had said
No. You answered the questions we asked. You answered the questions we asked. I asked a simple question. Why did you change your website last month?
Well, sir, your statements about don't want to prosecute guys is absolutely false. And my policies so far in this hearing...
Are you saying what the sheriff wrote me is wrong?
No, what I'm saying is that the way that my policies have been
December 16th,
presented in this
you
are
chose
outrageous.
She said the Commonwealth's attorney, that's you, chose not to prosecute Mr. Morales-Ortiz on December 16th, and they had to release him. They had to do their job because you wouldn't prosecute. What happened on December 17th, Mr. Descano?
Well, sir, let's talk about December 16th.
No, that's the question. What happened on December 17th? This same guy murdered somebody. This guy murdered somebody, and I'm asking you, why did you change your website?
Well, do you not want me to talk to you about the actual case?
I want you to answer the first question I said.
Which was about the case.
Why did you change your website?
Well, sir, because the website is not my policy. My policy, you are referring to a campaign.
I think the voters might be interested in that. This is your campaign website where you said our office will take immigration consequences into account when making charging and plea decisions. Immigration consequences were certainly part of the game here, part of the issue here with Mr. Morales-Ortiz.
No, they weren't.
You decided
they absolutely
not to
were not. You are assuming something that is in fact untrue, because you are misrepresenting my policies. My policies do not say that we do not prosecute people.
Well, if you're proud of your policies, why'd you change your website?
Because that's not my policy. As I told you, sir, that is a campaign statement that I made before I was Commonwealth
It had been
Attorney.
up for 6 years.
Yep, 6 years
A
it's
week
up.
after we send you a letter saying we want you to come testify, Shazam, you change it.
Because I
I'm just
could not-
asking, is that coincidental?
Because I could not believe that people were so obtuse that they could not realize what the difference between a campaign statement and an actual office policy is.
So when you make campaign statements, those aren't true? You're not being honest with your voters?
That's not what I'm saying at all, sir.
That's what you just said. And it goes back and forth like that over and over again. Now, let's listen to this exchange from Representative Brad Knott, shredding the Soros DA, District Attorney Steve Descano, for being soft on criminals.
They could not sentence this person to any term over 2 years. Is that not correct?
Sir, I'm so glad you brought this case
Is
up.
that not correct?
Well, because I would like to explain, sir.
It is correct. And the court rejected it.
Sir, I know
This
the
was
case
a,
file. I would love
I'm
to talk to
talking,
you
it
about
was
the
a
case,
judge
sir.
that was appointed
You
by
are talking-
Senator Warner. This
Sir.
is not a right-wing judge. This is a liberal judge. And you know why he rejected it?
Sir,
He saw
I
what you
would
should
love
have
to
seen.
talk about
He
the
cited
case.
overwhelming evidence.
So
that this
can we
person-
talk about the
that
evidence,
This
sir?
person was a
'Cause
threat.
I know it and you don't.
Quit talking.
And I would
this
love to
person
tell you
was
about
a
it.
threat. He yanked a 4-year-old girl out of her bed with the intent to harm her. And
Yep.
you wanted to give her a cap of 2 years.
Yep.
Sir, this
And
is a
then when
great
the plea
example.
agreement was rejected, what did you do?
Sir, this is a
What
great
did
example.
you do?
This is a great example of a case.
You know, I prosecuted.
where-
Now, I've prosecuted
And then
cases.
you understand
And when
cases
you're
that
evading
don't
like
have
that,
strong
you know what
evidence
that's a
then,
sign
sir.
of? Guilt. What did you do?
Sir,
You dismissed the case.
Ooh.
Sir, can I please
Mr.
talk to you
Mayorkas,
about this case
when you
if you want to know about it so
be
much?
quiet. When you dismiss a case, what happens to that defendant?
He walks free.
Walks free. A disgusting, perverted individual preying on children that you dismissed the case. As the father of 2 young girls, one of them's 5. That is
I have
as
a daughter too,
shameful
sir.
as
Don't-
anything I
please
have
don't
seen.
talk to me
Quit
that
defending
I don't
the
care about
indefensible.
people in my
You clearly
community.
don't.
Absolutely
You dismissed
not.
the case, and it's shameful.
Sir,
You're a coward. You are a coward.
You won't even let me talk to you about the case.
It's indefensible, sir. I yield back.
Yep. Descano, disgrace, evil. And that's the kind of stuff we're dealing with. That's just in Fairfax. Imagine what's happening in other places around the United States. My goodness, folks. Positive news of the Trump effect. Prices for many goods and services are falling. Eggs, smartphones, sports tickets, men's suits, health insurance, and more. It seems to be going down. And then you've got this chart that was given to us. Trump versus Biden, who raised prices more. Who raised prices more? Biden, 10%, 12%. Trump's 3, around there, 3, 4%. Biden keeps going up 15%, 17%, 18%, 19%. And then Trump's just dipping every now and then, going up a little bit. But folks don't want to talk about that. Compares the first 48 months of each presidency using the same starting framework. Trump's line runs from January 2017 to January 2021. So, all of this playing out, and we've been talking about money and more. We've got another great video coming out tomorrow with Dr. Kirk Elliott. And he really gets into some amazing things, folks, especially talking about the $100 that's signed by President Trump and what that might mean. Gold-backed. Precious metals, once again. You guys do not want to miss that tomorrow. You can go to amweknow.com/gold. And you can reach out to Dr. Kirk Elliott yourself and get your IRA over. And you guys know that the silver continues to grow. Once again, it's gone up tremendously just this year alone. So hopefully you check that out again tomorrow. I wanted to remind you also some other things. Georgia Democrat Rob Atkerson, who said Democrats should pass laws allowing the execution of Trump supporters when they regain power, has been fired from his position as a system administrator for ExecuSource 1 day after being exposed by Right Angle News Network. Also, John Solomon said appeals court blocks $83 million to E. Jean Carroll amid Trump appeal. The left's heads are exploding, says Joe Lang. She was always a fraud. The courts are actually making everything right and cleaning up the judicial system. This is a winner because God is on his side. He won't lose at anything because God is in his fight. If you can't see that, your discernment is a little off. Now, wanted to show you this before we come to a close. A amazing 16-year-old from Wiley East High School in Texas named Marco Hunter Lopez testified about starting a Republican student club.
Can you tell us what are the requirements to create a student club at your school?
The requirements are to have 10 members, a teacher that's willing to sponsor, and a room to meet.
And did the Republican club that you formed meet those requirements?
We did on day one.
It did. And was your club allowed to be created?
No, we were actually notified that we were denied due to political nature, even though other ideological groups, including groups promoting gender-affirming ideology, were approved.
Why do you think the school had such a sort of obvious double standard?
Wow.
I'm not sure if it's the educational establishment. It could be any of those. It could be the principals that have been in the system for a while. They just don't want conservative values. I think it's a trend we've seen with, how Charlie Kirk was on campuses and on high school campuses. I think that they think conservative values are a threat because they're true.
And how has the school administration either encouraged or supported World Hijab Day?
Our principal actually wore the hijab 2 years in a row that we know of. It could be more. She's posted it, promoted on social media, saying she, quote, loved it, all caps. And they're just promoting these events like nothing, but our club, on the other hand, has to receive strict, first of all, we weren't approved in the first place, and then once we were the only club that couldn't have other privileges that other groups had, and they took down our posters. And so there's just a lot of things in this double standard clearly to favor the Islamic group.
Yep.
Is it true that your school's libraries offer Islamic literature like the Quran and other things?
Yes, so McMillan Junior High and Wiley ISD offers a Quran, but no Bible available.
But no Bible. So there's a Quran, but the Bible's not allowed.
Correct.
Is that true in multiple libraries?
From what I know, confirmed it's McMillan Junior High is one that I know of. I can look at the other libraries and submit them to you if I find any other findings.
Okay. Have you talked to the school about why they would allow a Quran but not a Bible?
So I haven't, the principals actually run away from me and hide, so I can't have a discussion with my principals because I act like an adult and they act like children.
Yeah, you very much are acting like an adult. They probably don't want to be on the record.
They're right. Very good.
With that policy, given how egregious it is. When clubs such as your sponsor visitors to come to the school and speak about club interests, whatever they are they subject to security screenings?
So when our club has guest speakers, including a state representative or a congressman, we have to submit 2 weeks in advance paperwork. We have to submit a week in advance background check. We have to submit their staff if they're coming. All these lengthy processes. I often have to miss my lunch period and skip lunch, skip a meal to fill these out. But on the other hand, the Islamic group got favorable treatment.
Okay, yeah. What were the security protocols that were in place for the Islamic group?
From what I know, none.
None.
From what I know.
So typically you have to go through a lengthy background
Correct.
process, but this Islamic group didn't have to.
Correct. Obviously, they didn't background check, the organization because it has multiple terror links, and they didn't. I guess they didn't check the Sharia pamphlets that they gave us or the Qurans with the Shahada card. They didn't. They were perfectly fine with it because the principal was there that day, just looking at it, perfectly fine.
What's been the response from the school since you've been public and vocal about this double standard?
Like I said in my opening testimony, when my mom had requested the principal to email my teachers, because I had to miss school for the first day after that and had to go late the second day because of death threats and things like that. And my mom had asked the principal to email my teachers just to keep an extra eye on me. And the principal told my mom, you can. So it's really, that speaks volumes to the approach of leadership that the school has and the school district has. Because I guess they just wanted to dismiss my safety in that moment.
You received death threats?
Yes, sir.
What were some of the death threats? Could you tell us about them?
I had people saying that they were going to be at my house waiting for me to get home and they were going to shoot me. I had people telling me to kill myself, a lot of different things. But I know nobody can proclaim anything over me because I wake up every morning with victory with Christ.
Amen.
That's exactly right.
Amen.
What has the school's response been to these death threats?
Like I said, that first day it was very dismissive. I actually received a death threat last year, and I believe I have emails, and I could submit them to the record of the principal saying, "Oh, things are already taken care of." Very, I would say, downgrading it or just minimizing specific situations. I can submit those emails to the record.
I just want to be clear. You had a threat against your life, somebody saying that they were going to come to your house and murder you.
Correct.
And your school's response was dismissive.
Correct.
There you go. That young man standing at the front lines. That young man, Marco Hunter Lopez, needs our prayers. What an amazing gentleman. Great job to those that brought this man up. So much strength, poise, and maturity at the age of 16. The White House released an image. Download the White House app. You can't ignore the signs, is what the White House said, and they posted it at 3:16 p.m. Ultra Magadine said the White House's post is very interesting. Has a timestamp that sends us to a very important Bible verse, John 3:16. See, it's released at 3:16 p.m., so you go to John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. So we have the White House letting us know you can't ignore the signs of God's beauty, and then by using the timestamp of 3:16, pointing us directly to John 3:16. Interesting that there is only one Q post that uses that same Bible verse, and that's post 35. The president will be well insulated, protected on Air Force One and abroad, specific locations classified, while these operations are conducted due to the nature of the entrenchment. It's time to take back our country and make America great again. Let us salute and pray for the brave men and women in uniform who will undertake this assignment to bring forth peace, unity, and return power to the people.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you again, thanking you for how you continue to raise up so many folks to stand at the forefront for their nation, for those around them, knowing that they stand on the truth, they stand on the truth of your Son, Jesus Christ, who says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man goes to the Father except by me. We thank you for the leaders that have joined with the good side, that are rising up and realizing something amazing is playing out, something biblical is moving. In so many ways, we continue to look to you, the author and finisher of our faith, for guidance through your word. We thank you for that, for your Bible. We thank you that we continue to read it and learn from it and grow. We thank you for the leaders that you continue to protect, who are taking down this evil that's been entrenched for decades, if not centuries. We thank you that we live in a time like this, where you've allowed us to speak and get information out through the airwaves in this way. Please continue to guide us and direct us in the truth and moving forward with you in this battle. We bring this before you in the name of Jesus Christ, our Savior, once again. Amen and amen. Folks, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your time. I know this was a little longer than normal, but we appreciate you. We thank you for the prayers. For now, this is LT. Have a great weekend. Semper Fi, with them we know. Signing out.
The people of China and the United States are both great peoples, achieving the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation and making America great again.
One thing he agreed to today is going to order 200 jets. That's a big thing, Boeing's. 200 big ones. That's a lot of jobs. It's a lot.
America, I'm sure, watched the reception, and I'll